CIRF number 453. How apropos. Setting up for this, we're dodging hail, thunderstorms, monitors suddenly go off, and then a crack of lightning. It's like that's the image of this week. This week is the great unknown. Lots of question marks, lots of newness. We got a new moon, lot of influences from Pluto and Uranus. Two planets changing signs. There's a lot packed into this week. This is an extraordinary week. Thanks for being here. We're going to be looking at May 22nd to May 28th, 2025. I'm calling this the Great Unknown. Here is your cheat sheet or playbook, as I call it. We get right into the astrology. We have the Sun in Gemini, and that influences us more into curiosity, adaptability, flexibility, but also scatterbrained, possibly multitasking, and that sort of thing. But look at all. This is just the main sky events. We have a new moon in Gemini, and this is not in chronological order. This is more in terms of, I tried to prioritize in terms of like the power that it holds. New moon in Gemini at the very top. We have a mini grand trine, especially after Mercury goes into Gemini. So those are kind of correlated. But the mini grand trine is amazing, and it includes the one I'm going to talk about with the Neptune and Pluto. But anyway, Sun trine Pluto, Mercury conjunct Uranus. That's a big one. Mercury trine Pluto. And then the very first one on Thursday, the 22nd? Yeah, the 22nd, you're going to see Venus trine Mars go exact. But that's not all. See, in the backdrop, you have Saturn entering Aries. I'm considering Saturn to be a little more of the subtle energies, as not normally. If we didn't have all of these big alignments, I'd probably put Saturn going into Aries as a main event. But I think Saturn entering Aries is going to be more in the background. You're going to feel it, but more of a subtle energy. The fixed fire signature is going to be changing over to mutable. I'll show you that. Neptune sextile Pluto. That's the liberator, the cosmic liberator. And thank you for all the comments. We'll look at those as well. Neptune conjunct Saturn. I mean, there's just so much. The number 5, Jupiter semi-sextile Uranus, is a really important one, and that will be in the follow-on CIRF report as the kind of the primary catalyst there. And then it's no wonder that we have question marks with I-Ching 4 and just uncertainty, curiosity. That's a very Gemini type of thing. Humility, eagerness, vulnerability, confusion. But I went ahead and I put this. This is the main picture for the I-Ching. This guy with looking out into the window of question marks. I think that's the same thing for all bets off when you've got all this Pluto energy and Uranus, Mercury conjunct Uranus. And then we got changing signs and even the subtle energies in the back, just all question marks. What's interesting is, so the last CIRF report was more about the curtains are drawing closed. Well, now we've got, it's kind of like surprise. We don't know what yet to expect, but a lot of uncertainty. So there's your overview. Let's, and my opinion, just based on how many people are reviewing the comments down below, I think you're missing out if you're not going into our comments. There's really a lot of help, and it's a tribe. We're helping each other out. So Liz Adair says, living in the now, I believe, has been very difficult due to the Scorpio full moon we just had this last week, and I couldn't agree more. That energy is very obsessive and all-consuming, and can be scary at times with the shadow popping out. And then Janice Marie says, and talks, has a couple of really like practical spiritual suggestions that I've never heard before, never considered. And so, uh, um, go look down into these comments. I could be doing this for all these different comments. I think they're all great, but don't miss out. Go down there and check those out. All right, here is our big picture view in our eclipse cycle of Aries that started on March 29th this year. We are 2 new moons in. Actually, this would be our third if you include the eclipse itself, the Aries eclipse. So this would be the third new moon of Gemini, and it's roughly in the right in the middle of our CIRF week this week. So on this, we're looking for the vertical lines. We're in between there. We have the new moon. We have 2 planets moving signs. This one is Mercury. That's right at the new moon. That's interesting. And then the Saturn is going into Aries. All this is the mini Grand Trine, and we'll talk about and look at the dates. This is when they all kind of go exact. So as far as the mini Grand Trine, we'll delineate it later, but it's really magical, very transformative. I was profoundly enlightened by this graph in making this graph, and so basically got like 10 different alignments that are worthy of putting up here, and I didn't want to put 10 gobbledygook lines in there, but I noticed that of all these alignments, they have 2 main themes: passion and change. Passion and change. The red is passion. So for example, Venus trine Mars, and Sun trine Pluto, and Saturn going into Aries, Aries being very passionate. So like just passion. Pluto is also passion. And then over here is change, and that's like the new moon. You've got the planets moving signs. You got Mercury conjunct Uranus and parallel. Yeah, Pluto is also the transformation. Anyway, change and passion. All right, let's get into some details so that you can see visually where these passions and changes are coming from. The first one out the gate, Thursday the 22nd, we have Venus trine Mars at 16 degrees even in 2 fire signs, Venus in Aries, Mars in Leo. So big, powerful, passionate, and fiery romantic expression. I would expect most of us to start feeling a little uptick in boldness and confidence, especially when pursuing desires and personal passions. And then in relationships, expect dynamic and energetic connections. Overall, I think magnetic attraction and charisma is going to be premium. Spontaneous and impulsive displays of affection are possible. So imagine this vibrant dance of flames, the passionate embrace under a starry night. Imagine all that. Friday is sort of our only empty day. So this is where I talk about the cosmic liberator. So this is where we had some cool comments. I like the titles that you all came up with. Sean Nelson says the cosmic evolution of the soul's liberation. Yep, I think that encapsulates the evolution part and also the liberation part. Geo's Gems said cosmic magical soul liberation. That also has the 2 themes in there. And by the way, we're talking about Neptune in Aries, sextile Pluto. And if you're new here, we were talking a couple CIRF reports ago about how long, 8 years, this alignment. And the first exact sextile there, Neptune and Pluto, a very slow planet. The first exact sextile will be in 2026, over a year from now. And then for 7 more years, you'll have this sextile. So it's the according to Lori, the breaker of chains octennial, BOCO, BOCO. So we have some cool names to use as we go forward. And yes, it'll probably be very redundant. For 8 more years, we're going to be talking about this alignment as it works towards liberating humanity. Cool. Another thing happening and setting us up for the Mercury and Uranus conjunction is a parallel. Mercury now on Friday the 23rd becomes parallel with Uranus. In other words, they're on the same inclination. And what that means, it intensifies this change. So now what's cool? Never done this before. I don't think I've ever done this before. We have such big alignments on Saturday the 24th. I decided to do a separate chart for each one of them. So we start off at 10:54 a.m. Central Daylight Time. This is when Sun trine Pluto goes exact. And this alignment is important because it supports the ability to communicate powerful ideas and insights that have the potential to bring very big transformational change to both personal and collective levels. This is a strong desire as two planets in air signs for reform and progress and seeking breakthroughs and understanding complex issues. Ultimately, this trine will encourage you to use your mental abilities and communication skills to facilitate transformative change at a societal level. So imagine a person delivering a powerful speech. Or if you can also imagine a library filled with ancient scripts, but also cutting edge technology, symbolizing fusion of knowledge and progress. Progress is a key component, and progress is change, right? But you also see the passion in this. You see both of our big themes. You see the passion and the change, passionate change. So feeling with the Sun trine Pluto will feel like empowerment through knowledge and understanding. It'll feel like a curiosity and a deep desire to learn and grow, and a passion for social justice, possibly equality. All right. We haven't changed days yet. Now we're just moving to 6:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This is where Mercury and Uranus go exact and, look, follow my pointer, and parallel. So azimuth and inclination are exactly the same. Big, powerful, communicative, and thinking cognitive type changing and insights. This is a lightning bolt. Here's our picture here. And it's in Taurus. It's happening in tropical Taurus, so very grounded. Uranus represents the electricity and insights. And by the way, the thunder has stopped. I think we might be past this cell, which is good to hear. And we have some lightning trauma from a year and a half ago where we had to replace like tens of thousands of dollars of stuff here with the help of insurance, but it was all lightning. So with Mercury and Uranus coming together with a lot more intensity, individuals may experience sudden insights and breakthroughs in your thinking patterns, and this will probably lead to new perspectives. This alignment supports embracing change and experimentation in practical matters, Taurus type matters. And ultimately, the conjunction in Taurus encourages innovative thinking and communication to bring about practical, tangible changes in your life. We can also, in addition to this lightning picture, you can also picture a farmer discovering a groundbreaking new method for cultivating crops. And feelings associated with this conjunction, I would expect to be like a lot of curiosity, a lot of excitement about new ideas and possibilities. And we might as well throw in the theme of liberation from limiting beliefs and habits, to a very Taurus type of thing. So we can be liberated from that. So we still haven't changed days. We're still on Saturday the 24th. Our third and final big alignment is Saturn going into Aries. And it's disciplined passion. You're going to feel a strong desire to take bold steps towards goals, while obviously meeting some obstacles and new hurdles, but they're not just happenstance. And with Aries, you're ready to boldly just pound through them like a warrior. So that's one of our images, is donning your armor and getting to work as the warrior, pursuing your passions. Lessons in leadership and independence and self-reliance are likely to surface. Um, the challenges that Saturn in Aries has is individuals might actually take responsibility to for their lives, and this is big in the therapy progress, because if you have a poor me and that just can't get out of the complaining and the victimhood and the rumination of the past, it's just very hard to get any progress done. But it doesn't mean ignore the past or ignore those feelings either. I love this energy. I love the Saturn in Aries. I think it's going to be extremely helpful in pushing your life forward if you can stay out of the victim mindset, which I think the energy will help that. All right. Next big alignment, Mercury goes into Gemini at 7:59 p.m. Sunday, 25 May. And this is huge from a bigger picture standpoint. Not only do you have combust, so you have Mercury and Sun in a 5-degree orb, but more importantly, you have a mini grand trine. A mini grand trine is where you have one trine, and that's Pluto in Aquarius. And then you'll have then two sextiles. And the two sextiles, one of them is our Pluto Neptune cosmic liberator. Then the other side is Saturn and Neptune in a conjunction in Aries, sextile back over to Mercury. So people talking very matter of factly. It's a very communicative type of alignment. The major trine, the easy trine energy, easy energy back and forth. So easy to combine those are in air signs. So very communicative, very people oriented, get along very well. The collective transformation towards individualistic views and collective rebirth. That's a Aquarian type of thing. We can transform this society. You're going to see that same passionate communicator, right? That picture that I showed you before from a different alignment, that also applies here. I have a different picture for this one, which really involves a real positive sense, like things are orchestrated, or feel like you have orchestration over the drama or the situations in your life. It feels especially with the sextiles, the opportunity to be more verbose and verbalize and communicate, but in a change-oriented type of way. Those sextiles represent opportunities. And the opportunities are from Saturn that we just talked about, Saturn in Aries, and Neptune that we've been talking about in Aries. So very strong, passionate, but determined kind of dreams, very directional. And so those dreams get farmed out into this communication that we talked about, powerful communication, transformative communication. Okay. And so I like you know, the, the, I get the sense when we have an orchestra and a conductor that they're trying to really just be in the flow of it. And I think that's what this mini grand trine represents. So I like this picture a lot. It's very lot of thoughts, a lot of logic, but a lot of feeling like not control. That's too heavy of a word, but you're in the flow of life. And I really am looking forward to this day, Sunday the 25th, because it sets us up for the new moon then the following day at 6 degrees, 6 minutes. Two sixes. So, new beginnings in communication, new moon in Gemini is learning and adaptable, maybe an increase in wit and humor, but certainly openness to new experiences. And this powerful speech still with Pluto on the trine, but expect a full month of fresh ideas, mental stimulation. This is a new lunar cycle, which is roughly 29 days, and it's ruled by Gemini. So, potential for networking and social connections, new levels of versatility, being able to adapt to new things. There's that change thing again. So, but instead of this forcing change, like some of the other alignments, it's giving us the gift of changing with it. So there's your kind of orchestra concept. You have all this change happening around the zodiac, and then you have the new moon in Gemini giving you the gift of adapting with it and flowing with life. It's going to be a powerful, intense week, but hopefully you will feel more in flow of what's happening. All right, so imagine a lively conversation with friends. Um, imagine these people having different hats and different personas, but multitasking and doing a variety of things. Um, and then we also have Mercury getting closer to the sun for about, within 4 degrees now. And then technically that's called Mercury combust. You got kind of have combust denotes kind of like a weakening in a way of whatever that planet is. So in this case, mind, communication, thinking is sort of weakened, but at the same time, Mercury is home to Gemini, so re-strengthened. So I'm almost thinking those two things cancel out, especially as we have a trine over to another planet in air sign. All right, on Tuesday, the 27th, another big alignment with Mercury trine Pluto going exact. Just left off the new moon day with this. So, profound communication skills. We've talked all about a variety of this, very similar to the Sun trine Pluto, but even more appropriate, like that picture of the guy on the loudspeaker and very encouraging, very passionate about what he's speaking about and influencing. That's even more appropriate for this Mercury in Gemini trine Pluto. Innovative thinking, problem solving, adaptability, versatility, and especially in areas of communication. So imagine a master chess player strategizing their next move, or a skilled negotiator finding win-win situations. You got the power of Pluto in the way you think and communicate. And might as well throw in the Rubik's Cube again. But even more, I think what would be even, if you can imagine this Rubik's Cube as he's solving it while doing social engagement, if you can imagine the Rubik's Cube represents some sort of collective level problem. And so, like, single handedly solving that in his speech or while he's socializing. That's kind of this alignment, the power to do so, the versatility. We end our week with a bang, Wednesday the 28th. I want to point out this massive square, and that's because the moon is transiting over Jupiter. So those are in a conjunction, very emotionally expansive, very wise, very intuitive, but because of wisdom and emotions coming together, planet of excess. So emotional excess is right there, but it's all square over to our little team here in Aries, the Neptune and Saturn, which I didn't talk too much about this week, but we are going to get. That's going to be a very big alignment coming up, which is the Saturn and Neptune conjunction. So we'll touch that here in the next few CIRF reports. But today, Wednesday, 28th, it's a massive square energy. So a lot of pressure, massive squared pressure from emotionally wise dreams, structured illusions that teach and instruct, disciplined wisdom, helping you find your passions or harness your passions. Yeah, and that rounds out a very intense week of change and a lot of question marks. So, no wonder we have hexagram 4 of the I-Ching, the emotional landscape of youthful folly centers on a deep-seated uncertainty mingled with genuine curiosity about the unknown path ahead. Isn't that like the core of what we talked about? I think so. There's a vulnerable openness, a combination of eagerness to learn, humility, and recognizing one's inexperience. Beneath these emotions often flows an undercurrent of gentle anxiety as one stands at the threshold of knowledge without clear direction. Youthful folly. All right, so let's summarize so we can get to the solution. Oh, that was a lot already. So this week unfolds with question marks everywhere you look. Energetic surprises stem from two planets changing signs, a mini grand trine, Sun trine Pluto, Mercury conjunct Uranus and parallel Uranus, Neptune sextile Pluto, our cosmic liberator, and Jupiter semi-sextile Uranus. We didn't get to that, but there's a lot more. Since the Sun and the new moon are both residing in mutable and adaptable Gemini, we're granted some flexibility to navigate the great unknown, allowing us to pivot and flow with the energetic shifts expected throughout the week. The cosmic dance of Mercury and Uranus particularly amplifies our intuitive flashes, potentially bringing breakthrough insights when we least expect them. It's no wonder that I-Ching 4 emerges as our influential hexagram. Alrighty, well, while I'm here, let me introduce some of the solution modules. Put the change line in, you get centering and truth, hexagram 61. It might be better to that's not any better, is it? Oh, right there. If you look in the lower right, you get centering and truth. Well, let's just go read it. Hold on. Scroll down and we get centering and truth. Speaking, so we're looking for behaviors now, right? We're in the solution. So the solution isn't mandating you to behave in a certain way. It's giving you recommendations based on technical data, conversion charts and whatnot. One of them is the I-Ching. We're looking for a set of behaviors, and what that does is you can consider incorporating them into your behavior set to maximize success given the energies that we talked about, the change and the passion mainly. So, getting started, speaking with measured sincerity, letting words emerge naturally from one's authentic center rather than strategic calculation. The wise person remains attentive to subtle cues and listens deeply to what lies beneath surface communications, responding to the essence rather than merely the form. not just seeing life from face value, but looking deeper below the surface. This hexagram calls for patient centered action that aligns one's inner truth with outer expression, creating harmony through the quiet power of congruency. I might as well show you the conversion chart here because we have the new moon. Remember that was at 6 degrees, 6 minutes of Gemini. And so that put us at the first line of Rave Mandala Gate 16 and Sidereal Taurus. That's where those come from. I will put a new chart or a new video tomorrow on the Rave Mandala. It's a very important one, and it goes just really sinks into all the alignments that are happening in our sky with the Neptune Saturn thing. Everything's sort of dreamy, and you got Mercury combust and delusions, and so this is how to speak the truth, right? Or how to ascertain the truth. All right, so now let's triangulate the solution. So putting all that together, you have a new moon, you have the Rave Mandala 16, line 1, you have Sidereal Taurus, and you have I-Ching 61. So put it all together, what do you get? Focus on the truth, number 1. Because it's pretty much everywhere. The least is the Taurus, but that too, it still applies. Remember that we have an absolute truth and we have an experiential truth. Both are true. Even opinions and perceptions are also true in that someone has an opinion. Not that their opinion is either true or false. You see what I'm saying? The fact that they have an opinion is true. My opinion is not necessarily true. My opinion is this. My perception is this. It's not being absolute truth. Okay, so work with me here. Not being, so if an opinion or a perception is not being absolute truth, doesn't necessarily make it false. So know the difference when you talk too. You say like, my story is, or the way my mind is working is telling me this, or my perception about this thing is, instead of, no, the sky is green. Like some people have color blindness or whatever, so their experience or their perception is going to be different, but it doesn't make it right for everyone. So anyway, I hope I'm making sense here. It's an important one. Let people have opinions. Let people have perceptions. It's not like, don't hyper focus on whether or not that's true or false, just that they have an opinion. All right. It becomes their subjective truth. Okay. Firmly ground yourself regularly. This is a very Taurus, because sidereal Taurus is important. And it's a great one to have during times of change. So firmly ground yourself regularly, come back to the now, live in the 5 senses, etc. Things we talked about before last CIRF. And then third, do a new moon ritual. Consider writing down 3 to 5 goals or more, or just maybe one. And I recommend using the tropical astrology for this theme. The reason why we put sidereal in here in the solution is because that's what the sidereal, getting in alignment with the stars, is not feeling that way. It's just doing. So when we can separate out doing, feeling from doing, we can be freed from the subconscious reactions of discomfort. And that's amazing, because now we can insert something like values into all our behaviors and all our choices, and we can create our own reality. So that's why we have the difference between tropical and sidereal. But for the new moon, because it's based on tropical astrology, in my opinion, you're welcome to do sidereal um, new moon goals for this lunar cycle. But I personally have found that the goals for lunar cycles is best to use the tropicals. So in this case, Gemini. So consider learning, communicating, listening, recording something, adjusting to something, or negotiating, etc. As far as social goes, this is centering in truth. I-Ching 61 is definitely a more social hexagram. The Rave Mandala 16:1 is definitely more social. The new moon is probably a little more isolated, and so is Taurus. So it's about even. It doesn't. And again, these socials doesn't mean you have to be social or not. Just giving you an idea for what the triangulation for the solution is recommending being out and about or isolating. Could go either way. So there you have it. All right. Big, powerful change. Big, passionate, intense energies and a lot of question marks this week. So as the curtains start opening, now we can adapt and focus on truth. Remember, there's all sorts of different kinds of truth, and let people have opinions. But don't forget to write your goals down, and we will, once we get into the first quarter moon, that's where we really start to turn the accelerator on towards those lunar goals, and maybe celebrate towards the full moon. And all right, that's a good plan for this next cycle. But this is going to be a big week. You're not going to see many big weeks such as this one. So who knows what it'll behold as far as outcomes, but I'm looking forward to it. All right, everybody, that's all I got. Take care. Stay in inner peace, especially around all these, I don't know, fabricated storms or whatever. It's just like a nonstop rotation of storms. We just had hail earlier today. All right. Take care. Love and light. Namaste.